Hi everyone, Namaste. This is Anjali Kochhar. Welcome back to my channel Tookwings Blog by Anjali Kochhar. So आज का जो podcast था हमारा Mr. Vinod K Singh, who is the co-founder and CTO of Consus Limited. And आज जो हमने podcast में बात करी है, it has been so candid, so crisp, and so useful for anyone who is starting off their journey as an entrepreneur. So, what are the things you need to keep in mind as an entrepreneur? What are the challenges that are going to happen in your entrepreneurial journey? And AI or new age tech को कैसे हैंडल करो? इन्वेस्टमेंट अगर आप रेज करना चाहते हो तो what is the right time to raise the investment? And what are the things that an investor, as he also invests in a lot of companies, so he told us what are the things that as an investor people look at when they are looking at a startup, right? So it is a very insightful and a very very crisp conversation that happened today, and I think you're going to enjoy it and learn a lot from this conversation if you're starting off your journey as an entrepreneur. And for any further questions, and if you want to be a part of my podcast, you can reach out to us. Our as well as Vinod's detail are in the description box below, and I hope you enjoy the conversation. Hi Vinod, welcome to Kahaniyaan By Tookwings Blog. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you for having me, Anjali, and hope you're also good.
Great. So, today we'll be talking to you about a lot about entrepreneurship and, the new age tech that is coming up and that is revolutionizing the startup industry basically. But before that, कहानियां पे ना हमारा एक tradition है that we start the podcast with one story that defines you. तो आपकी जो कोई भी एक कहानी जो आप सभी के साथ शेयर करना चाहते हो वो स्टोरी हम जानना चाहेंगे and then we'll begin the conversation.
One story that defines me, right? Okay, I think the story would be I will pick up something that defines like where I come from and where I am and how I came here. So I would say I was born and brought up in a very rural area of India, in UP. I have not seen electric bulb until I was like probably age of 10 or something. So like forget about computer, smartphone and game and all, not even seen electricity. So that's the kind of background that I come from. And did all my schooling from my village only. And then from there, generally I was surrounded by the population where like there were very few people who wanted to do engineering or anything. It was more like people either wanted to become a politician, neta, or maybe prepare for a bank PO or something like sarkari naukari kind of thing. So I tried to get out from that. So I left my home, parents, everybody else when I was 12 years old after passing my 8th standard. So I left my home, went to a nearby city, which was 50 kilometers from my village. And since then, I was on my own, basically. So you go into a city, get yourself enrolled into a college where you have to do your high school and intermediate. So at the age of 12, I was kind of on my own, cooking my own food, getting myself ready, going to school and everything else. And yeah, I think that was the beginning of me being that independent. It was bad. It was very hard as a child, as you can imagine that, but if I look back, that was the best thing that happened to me because I'm now used to not asking anybody what to do. And I'm very used to like be independent and not be afraid of uncertain unknown things. So yeah, that's basically, and then one thing led to another. Did my graduation in my computer science. Again, this was the first time when I haven't seen TV, forget about computer. So that was the first time when I went to college to saw a computer, and here I am trying to do a computer graduation engineering course, surrounded by all of my friends. They all came from convent schools, like all the English medium, and they've seen all the computer in their lab. And so it's like, so the story is basically, lots of time you find yourself that you have no chance to compete in this world because you have got so many genuine reason to kind of give up. But I did not. I simply said, okay, it might take me some time. A year later, I was one of the most, I would say, knowledgeable person on a computer and everything else in my college. So if you have that zeal and that push behind you, it does not matter where you come from, what is your background, and so yeah, I think that's basically what defines me, is that story of me really not surrendering myself to any challenge, and every single challenge I faced in my life was big enough for me to surrender. Did not, kept going and kept going, and finally I did okay. I think I'm now where I'm pretty happy where I am.
That's lovely. So as you spoke about the challenges and how important it is for anyone who is working on themselves, or be it full time or be it an entrepreneur, right? So challenges are important, but it is important again to not give up at that time, right? So
Right.
आपको ऐसा लगता है कि उन challenges की वजह से आपकी जर्नी में कुछ आगे जो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की जर्नी में चैलेंजेस आए हैं वो इजी हो गए बिकॉज आपने लाइफ में पहले ही काफी चैलेंजेस देखे थे?
I would say they were not easy, but yes, I was mentally prepared to handle them. It's like when you have, faced one challenge in one part of life, all other challenges, they will come in a very different phase and different form, but ultimately it's all about your goodwill. Like, how are you taking to that challenge? So for example, you're looking for a funding, it's been 1 year, you didn't get a funding, right? And then what do we do as a founder? Like, would you give up? What are you trying and all? And again, it's big challenge as an entrepreneur. You're trying to run a company and everything is ready. All you need is a bit of funding. You tried everything to go out 20 or 50 different investors. Nobody gave you money. What do? Right? And that's where the attitude comes from. So for me, I wanted to go to IIT. I could not get to because of my situation. Then, okay, said, okay, fine. I'm not going to change my goals. I'm going to change my way of how I'm going to get there. So, and then I wanted to do my BTech and MCA from a good college. Couldn't do that because of different situations in my personal life. Then I ended up doing a BCA. And again, think, okay, fine. I think the goal is same, but the rasta thoda different nikalna padega. So you got to reinvent yourself. And if you had the past where you're not privileged enough to have everybody supporting you and you never had to reinvent yourself, आपने पढ़ाई करी, आपको आईआईटी करना था, घर वालों ने कोचिंग कराई, आपने आईआईटी करा, आईआईटी कर लिया, you had a straight path in your life, then you try to do an entrepreneurship, it will hit you hard, saying, oh my God, what do I do? But if you had that past, then it helps you to reinvent and keep moving around to find your goals.
Right. Right. And what if you have to tell us, 5 things that an entrepreneur must have in him or her, to succeed in the startup journey?
Right. So I think 5. So number 1 is you have to have a very thick skin, right? So you got to be a bit shameless. And what I mean by shameless is that you will feel rejected lots of time, whether you would like trying to raise a fund or trying to sell your things to customers. When you are new, you will have low credibility and you will feel rejection. So number 1, be ready to be okay to be rejected and keep trying. That's number 1. Number 2 is that whatever plan you make, no matter how much study, how much research you have done, and you created a plan, mark my words, it will not happen. So the moment you start executing your plan, whether it is 2 months or 6 months, whatever, you will find that the plan you created was not right. So be ready to keep revising your plan and keep going. So that's number 2. Number 3 is basically make sure that when you're coming up with an idea, you're not trying to innovate. People try to be innovative, right? Don't try to innovate too much on a solution. Try to make sure you innovate on the problem. Like basically find a problem. So when it comes to what problem I need to solve, try to be as dumb as you could. Because no, keep all of your innovative idea, everything else in order to find the solution of the problem that you pick up for your startup.
Right.
So I see a lot of founder and trying to become very innovative around. Maybe they have this problem ऐसा होगा, maybe उनके पास ऐसा नहीं ऐसा problem होगा. Try to avoid that. I mean, there are still some exceptions that people have done it, but try to be as dumb as you can. Go to your end target users. Try to really find the actual gap. Don't try to be too smart on that, because the simpler gap you find, the more chances it is a real gap and fine. And then of course, so that's kind of another advice. Be dumb on finding the problem that you want to solve, but be very innovative on finding the solution that is basically very creative and everything else. And lastly, I just said, nothing is easy. You may get stories like me or anybody telling you that, oh, I've raised $40 million. I became a unicorn, this and that. All those stories are good, but it takes lots of hard work, lots of failure in their ways. So you go anybody, even they are a billionaire, you only see the one part of a story and you don't see the other. So be ready to be to have that miserable time for some time, and it will require a lot more hard work than you think you need to put in. So be mentally ready for that.
Right. I think those are very important points you mentioned. And I think we would also like to know from you, how was your entrepreneurial journey like?
Right. So first time I tried to be an entrepreneur was when I was in my college last semester. And I just said I couldn't get into IITs or anywhere, and I ended up doing BCA from a very small college and university. So that means there was no campus interview. So high placement was zero. And then I'm talking about the dot-com bubble area. So there was a recession in the market. So even people who were from IIT were struggling to find a job. And then I had to compete with people who have already done BTech, MTech, and all. So basically, in all the circumstances, there was no way for me to go and find a placement after completing the college. And my situation did not allow me to pursue further studies before. I had to be independent on my own. So that is where I tried first my startup, tried to create a hotel management software, because we were very close to Nainital. And that is a very touristy area. And so I did some research, came up with a number that saying they have got 528 hotels, smaller and bigger. So I thought they're all operating non-digitally. So I thought maybe there is a market in here. So while I'm looking for a job, why don't I try to build my own startup? Try to create a startup. Did some, fine. I approached the hotel association of the Nainital, basically, rather than going after all these individual hotels. Thought, okay, why don't I go to the association and try to approach at that level, so that by making one sale, I can reach out to all those hotels and all. Did that. It sounded like it was a very genius decision for me to do that. बाद में पता चला नहीं, I would have been better off going after the hotel directly, because वो association आ गया तो politics and ये और वो कौन पहले जाएगा, तो it theoretically, again, this is the kind of learn. Theoretically, it makes sense even if I talk about now, rather than approaching all these hotel. If I have connection and a way to get to the hotel association itself, wouldn't it be easier for me to go and sell? नहीं हुआ. So basically, and that time I'm talking about probably 25 years back. There was no startup ecosystem like it is now. तो कोई concept ही नहीं था अपने इंडिया में तो startup का. Investor नहीं, funding नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं. तो I tried to do it, and I also didn't had lots of deep pocket myself. So tried to do it myself. Got a couple of other guys to do it. Survived probably a year and a half. During that, sold a few copies of the software. It was enough for us to do our expenses and all, because we were not running on a big expense. वो हो गया. But again, it did not work because I was too new into the market. Didn't know the sales. I was a techie, and a couple of here and there, but again, I had to give up after a year. So वो पहली journey थी. Right? Failure, gave up. Then tried one more startup into these mandi, when you've got big like anaj mandi and sabji mandi and all that. The people who really do the wholesale there. So I spoke to few people, and then they were like looking for a Hindi accounting system. They use very like old and very pure Hindi terminology when they
Mm-hmm.
try to do the accounting. बहुत ही old, like we all know about debit, credit, this and that. उनका पता नहीं कुछ ही बहुत ही बही खाता and all. I don't know. Very different language. So I tried to find couple of people who was willing to buy something if it was in Hindi. Tried to create a Hindi version of accounting software for them. Again, second attempt as a startup, sold few copies. Again, didn't scale, didn't work out well, kind of thing. So it's fine. Then I said, okay, let's look at a job. So did some thing here and there, got into job. क्योंकि तब तक 2-3 साल मैंने वो रिसेशन वाला पीरियड काट लिया था क्योंकि थ्रू दैट. So what helped that was कि I remain active. I remain, I had something to show to my employer that I'm not sitting around, and so it helped to get a job. Anyway, and then my final entrepreneurship journey was with Consus, where I co-founded. And by that time, situation was very different. We were like we were running in that funding stage, and everything was very set up, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we started the Consus journey, and first we decided to build an IoT technology platform, because at that time, I'm talking about probably 10-12 years back, IoT was a big thing. Like these days you talk about Gen AI and AI, and it was very good new thing. So we said, okay, let's build a platform, technology platform that will help the consumers to connect any sensors from any company, and then we will build them a dashboard and everything else nice, kind of do that. And we came up with an idea, created a blueprint of the solution, went out in the market, got few customers ready to kind of engage with us. One of that customer was Heathrow Airport, where they wanted to monitor the conveyor belt, where they like luggage, like belt that you see, like thing. So monitoring it, that the temperature and everything else to kind of if it is not working, notify the service team and all that. So we did that. But after finding 2 or 3 customers, we thought we got product market fit. Now we can scale and all. Again, when we tried to scale, it felt like not market was not ready at the time to adopt that kind of a solution. And then before we could figure out anything else, there was something similar was launched by IBM, AWS, and all these cloud providers. They came in, and we said, okay, there is no way we can compete with what they are providing, because they'll probably give it for free. So we had to take a step back, go back to the whiteboard, and then we did we pivoted ourselves, like from IoT to insurance. तो उन्होंने कहा कि एक काम करते हैं कि let's try to build a solution जहाँ पे कि we will use IoT and different kind of data together. Rather than selling a platform, we are going to take this data and build AI model and machine learning and all to build a better pricing model for the insurance companies. And to give you an idea, for example, let me take, पहले हमने मोटर इंश्योरेंस, कार इंश्योरेंस किया. तो लेट्स से कि आज की डेट में थोड़ा चेंज हुआ इंडिया में, बट अभी भी मेजरली वही है कि अगर आप और मैं, हम दोनों जो है बाय ए कार, आई डोंट नो, लेट्स से कार एक्स होंडा सिटी फॉर एग्जांपल, हमने एक ही सेम कार, सेम मॉडल, एवरीथिंग वी बाय फ्रॉम लाइक फ्रॉम अ प्लेस, एंड हम दोनों अगर हम जाते हैं इंश्योरेंस लेने, तो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी क्या बोलेगी, भैया कि मेक क्या है, मॉडल क्या है, आईडीबी क्या है, आपका नाम क्या है, डेट ऑफ बर्थ क्या है, ये वो दुनिया भर की वो सारी इंफॉर्मेशन आपसे भी लेंगे, मेरे से लेंगे. सो देयर इज अ हाई चांस दैट यू एंड आई विल एंड अप पेइंग द सेम प्रीमियम इंश्योरेंस, क्योंकि हमारी कार सेम है, उसकी वैल्यू सेम है, सब कुछ सेम है. बट इफ यू लुक एट रियलिटी वाइज, क्या है कि इंश्योरेंस इज ऑल अबाउट रिस्क. सो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी इज इंश्योरिंग आवर कार्स, एंड इट इज टेकिंग रिस्क कि अगर हमने कहीं जाकर ठोक ठाक दिया तो उसका जो रिपेयर एंड ऑल दैट दे विल पे, राइट. और एक कार चोरी हो गई तो दे विल रिफंड दैट. सो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी इज टेकिंग अ रिस्क. अब यहाँ पे देखो तो लेट्स से मे बी अंजलि इज अ वेरी गुड ड्राइवर, शी टेक्स गुड केयर ऑफ हर कार, शी लिव्स इन अ बेटर प्लेस, तो एंड सो द चांसेस ऑफ अंजलि हिटिंग हर कार इज वेरी लो, बिकॉज her driving behavior is good, her behavior generally is good, and she's more caring. While let's say I'm more of a rush driver, I don't care too much about my car. So the probability of taking my car and hitting somewhere, um, very high. So the chances of the probability of you going for a claim is very low, where is very high. So
Right.
from that perspective, if you apply a simple math, I should be paying a lot more premium than you should, because
Right.
I should be penalized for my rash behavior. You should be like rewarded for your good behavior. So we came up with this concept of like behavior based risk profiling into the insurance.
Amazing.
So don't just look at just look at people's behavior, or if it is a people you're insuring, look at their behavior. If it's an asset that you're insuring, look at the behavior of that asset, like how, when, and where it is being used, and then that will give you much better indication of the risk that you're taking, and then you are more competitive with your customers and with your competitors and everything else to provide the insurance product. So that's what we did. In motor insurance, we found an insurance company who were willing to do this with us, and we did that. और it was a successful proof of concept. फिर हमने उनको बेचा, वो solution बेचा. We were like probably generating £1 million of revenue from them every year. वो and again it was using all the like technology like cloud computing से लेके आपका IoT, machine learning, behavioral learning, and all that kind of things. Did that in a motor insurance. फिर अगेन लर्निंग वाइज क्या लगा कि आप स्टार्टअप हो, फाउंडर हो, आपने एक सोल्यूशन बनाया, एक कंपनी मिली आपको, उसने आपका सोल्यूशन खरीदा और उनने आपको £1 million, विच इज लाइक आई डोंट नो लाइक 10 करोड़ है, कितना होता है, 100 million इज लाइक 100 का रेट होगा, लाइक आपको 10-20 करोड़ का बिजनेस दे रही है हर हर साल का. इट इज वेरी इजी फॉर यू टू बिलीव कि अब मेरा काम हो गया, अब ऑल आई नीड टू डू इज कि प्लान बनाऊंगा फिर से कि अब मैं इसको जाके 10 लोगों को और बेचूंगा, वो 1 million जो है वो 10 million बन जाएगा. चलो थोड़ा सा गैप ले लेते हैं, 10 नहीं भी हो गए, 8 भी हो गए, आई एम गुड. डू दैट math and you go after that. But then that seems like the market, not everybody was as forward looking as the customer that we got in that space. So people think it's a really good solution, it's great, but it's too much of a headache. I don't want to own hardware, वो सेंसर वेंसर मेरे को नहीं डील करना. बहुत अच्छा सोल्यूशन है, बहुत ही ग्रेट है, बट सॉरी टू मच. हमारे पास अपना एक ओल्ड स्कूल टाइप है, नो क्लेम बोनस देते हैं. आपका क्लेम नहीं आया तो 20% क्लेम बोनस, नो क्लेम बोनस लो, जाओ. टेक्नोलॉजी अच्छी है, बट लाइक कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी वाइज हमें नहीं करना. Thinking wise, like everybody thinks very differently.
Right.
So again, your plan, your data, and again, this was a data-driven decision कि यार हमारे पास data है कि it's work and everything else. So my point again, you got to reinvent yourself, because every time like you make a plan, it will not work, and you have to like take a step back. Okay, अब क्या करूँ? Like, and again, anyway, we tried to keep the concept same. Let's bring behavior into the insurance. When saying, okay, maybe the motor insurance is not that mature and not that ready. Let's try the same concept into other insurance. Let's go into more of a commercial side of insurance, where the insurance premium are much higher. Like you're talking about millions and millions of premium. यहाँ तो चलो ठीक है, 2,000, 20,000, 50,000 की प्रीमियम वाली बात हो रही है रिटेल में. तो we went into commercial, and we picked up marine as a shipping industry basically. Insurance companies who are insuring the big ships, जो vessels. So we tried to replicate similar sort of idea and similar solution and build a solution there. At time it worked. We were able to like launch the solution, and almost every single biggest like insurance company in London became our customer. We like sold, I don't know, like probably we had 20 customers basically using our solution. Again, we went from going in a loop, then we found one thing, then we scaled, and then reached to a level of the revenue that we were, it was in a multiple of like 3, 4, 10x multiple. You go there, and then you think like the game is over now, like all good now. Now struggle is over. Now everything is like, let's keep scaling and do that. But and then during that period, you do get funding. इन्वेस्टर आएंगे, उनके अलग, सबके अलग अलग अपने होते हैं कि भैया they want to do something else, you want to do something else, then और एक दूसरी सबसे बड़ी लर्निंग अगर बताऊं कि जब आप स्मॉल सेटअप में काम कर रहे होते हो तो यूर डूइंग एवरीथिंग एज ए फाउंडर, यूर डूइंग एवरीथिंग। ठीक है।
हम्म।
अब जब आपका ऑपरेशन बड़ा होता है तो यू हैव टू हायर अ टीम। आप
राइट।
चले जाते हो, आपके और एक्चुअल जो काम हो रहा है उसके बीच में लेयर आ जाती है।
हम्म।
And then you think that everybody is taking your direction and doing the way you think, but everybody has a very different motivation, very different drive and everything else.
हम्म।
तो वहां पे आता है कि if you do not hire the best in class team
हम्म।
before you step out, you will be doomed. And what happened to us as well? We hired, but it's not just the talent.
हम्म।
We hired, everybody hires for a talent.
हम्म।
I need a more talented people.
हम्म।
But what you actually need is talent is okay, but it is okay to compromise a little bit on a talent. You want to bring people who have a same value, who have a same belief, who have a same frequency, who kind of think in the same similar kind of way, and who culturally fit in your organization. And if you don't manage to do it, then there is a high chance that there will be some disruptions, things will not go as per plan, and you will basically face another challenge. And
राइट।
and there is another pressure that every kind of founder has is when you get initial success, you raise I don't know 10 million of funding and your investors are trying to ask go fast, go फटाफट जल्दी जल्दी करो. Then you have this pressure of hiring your team going from 5 people to 50 people in 6 months. And then during that hiring process, you're not interviewing everybody and everything else. So that that hiring process, that pressure of getting somebody in, you take lots of compromises and trade-offs. कोई
राइट।
लगता है ये बंदा ओके है, चलो उठा लो, like bring it in because we need to move forward, or maybe not. Okay, ठीक है, let get it in. So basically keep doing that, but then
राइट।
you pay a huge price that if that team does not end up being the team that you need, तो वहां पे भी आपको प्रॉब्लम आती है. स्केल करने के बाद बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स आते हैं. Then you get distracted from doing actual thing that you want to do. Try to solve this thing. Then your technology might go, when you're looking at your technology, it was maybe great, but then when somebody else is doing it, they might take it, make it over engineered, under engineered, all kind of things, or even sales side, operation side. So all those things that were in your hand, in your palm, but they are no longer in your control. There are so many other people in the organization suddenly, and you got to control them, and you got to do that. So that's another challenge that you do, and lots of companies fail or struggle at that stage as well. And we do that well. हमारे साथ भी वही हुआ.
राइट।
तो यही सारी चीजें हैं.
So, first thing, then how do you suggest that a founder should go about hiring a solid team? I mean, yes, it is so true that when you are, early on in your startup journey, then you just maybe need yourself or a couple of team members. But जब 50 लोगों का team बनाना है, तो what are the things that you should keep in mind when you are building that solid team? And of course, you have a lot of other things to do as well, not just building up a team. And the second thing is about the challenges. The next we'll talk about are the challenges, like how what should we have in ourselves as a founder to conquer those challenges.
राइट. तो सबसे पहले तो जैसे मैंने चैलेंजिंग मैंने बताया कि आपको हायरिंग जब कर रहे हो तो आपको इन्वेस्टर्स बोलेंगे कि यार आई वांट यू टू गिव अप दोज थिंग्स, डोंट गो इनटू द डिटेल्स, बी ऑन टॉप ऑफ द बिजनेस, डोंट ट्राई टू बी टू कंट्रोलिंग. वो स्केलेबल नहीं है एंड यू इट मेक सेंस, राइट? So trick वहां पे है कि yes, you need to give up things, you need to have let go things to be done by other teams, but you need to define who you need next. ये फाउंडर लेयर, उसके नीचे जो आपकी लीडरशिप लेयर है, you need to be very careful who you bring in that. And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, we, as I said, we focus more on talent. We try to hire most talented people. अभी हमने जो क्या किया, देखिए, फर्स्ट टाइम वी गॉट इट रॉन्ग एंड फाइनली अभी लास्ट ईयर वी रीबिल्ट आवर कंपनी. और वहां पे हमने क्या करा कि वी डिफाइंड प्रिंसिपल्स लाइक नॉन नेगोशिएबल बिहेवियरल ट्रेड्स
Okay.
दैट वी नीड टू इवेल्युएट फर्स्ट. एंड फिर
Hmm.
देखें कि आपको टेक्नोलॉजी आती है, सेल्स आती है, वो तो ठीक है, वो तो आती ही होगी, आपके पास 10 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है. पहले सबसे पहले we defined that it was time consuming thing, but it was worth it. कि define the behavioral traits that you need in your leadership team, and those are non-negotiable. तो हमने जैसे बनाया भैया कि we need people who have the highest sense of urgency. Like mentally they need doesn't need to be like so like mentally they are wired कि उनको हर चीज को ना urgency like I need to get it done, get it done, get it done. So that is the one behavior. Second behavior was like हमने बोला कि believe. If you coming into this company, this is our company vision, this is what we're doing. If you do not believe in this vision 200%, let's not waste our time. So you have to have a complete 100% belief, and not just for the sake of clearing the interview. You have to show me enough evidence and data that yes, you truly believe in what we're trying to do. Right? So believe. वो एक behavioral traits हमने निकाला. Like हमें पता है कि हम we are running a startup and like company, there are lots of ambiguity, lots of things we know, lots of things we don't know, and we make judgment and keep going and trying to lots of unanswered questions get answered as you keep going, and not everybody is very comfortable with ambiguity. Like lots of people in this world who really thrive when they get a clarity around this is where you need to go, and they are really excellent at that. But then so you need to like look at what you need. So in your leadership, so we decided that ambiguity is another kind of thing that people should be very much comfortable, not okay, comfortable, and should love to work in an ambiguous situation. So that was kind of another thing. And then self-efficacy. Basically, if you really want to let things go, you want your leaders to be self-efficacy. Like they don't need to be told daily क्या करना है. एक बार आपने उनको vision दिया कि this is the vision, this is the direction. Next 3 महीने में ये goal है. Go get it done, and they are now. You don't need to go and ask them for like कि भैया status क्या है. They are the one who are going and running, and when they are failing, they're gonna come back to you saying I need help. So self-efficacy was very important to us. So we defined that as a non-negotiable trait. And finally, the fifth one, we get a total commitment. We don't want people to come here to do the job. अगर आपको 9 से 5 वाली job चाहिए, sorry, thank you. We are very like we're good. We are not the good company. And when I say 9 to 5 job, that does not mean कि I want you to work on a weekend and night. All I mean is कि अगर आपने मेरे को कुछ बोला है कि Friday तक ये हो जाएगा, and I need your total commitment कि भैया ये हो जाएगा. अगर मैं जिंदा मतलब एक ना self ego वाला होता है ना, मेरी जुबान की कीमत है, तो I'm committed. When I say something, I'm kept there. So if you have to work over the weekend and night, you should be very willing to do that in those situations where you committed and you need to do. So basically, total commitment was non-negotiable thing. If you're looking for a nice job, there are 20 other companies, go and find those jobs. So my point is that defining those, and that answers the question like the challenge and how to conquer it. Maybe those 5 things were irrelevant to me, and for you or for other founders, there might be 3 other things, 2 other things. So you got to define what kind of behavioral traits that you need in your leaders. Build that team, and once you get a initial good data that yes, the team that you wanted to build, the behavior that you wanted to assemble is there, that is the right time for you to then let go of the things, and then you like go and try to do. But until that happens, you have to be there. You have to be controlling things.
And being consistent, I think, is really important, is what I, understand from this conversation as well. Because when you're starting off, it might become like a little messy for someone who doesn't know how to, run a company or things like that. So what would you suggest that, someone who is just starting off their entrepreneurial journey? So what would you suggest them that what should be the way like? So I understand that there are some, soft skills you must have, but what should be your path like? How should you make your path clear as a budding entrepreneur?
Right. So path-wise, just to let me make sure I understand the question. So it means like path-wise, like as a founder, how you set your own path, or like
Yes.
what? Yeah. So I think I just say like consistency, and you mentioned consistency is good, but path is like you have to have a good vision, and that vision might be like fine, like maybe in 10 years, I want to be X. That is good to have. I think it is important to have that, like the North Star. But you have to like admit and acknowledge that it is 10 years from now.
Right.
While it's good to think, but you don't probably need to show it in your action. Your action should be more focused around next, like what is next 3 months looks like, 6 months looks like. So, and I use this term saying, look, people say, can you come up with a strategy for 18 months? And my answer to that is that 18-month strategy is not a strategy, it's a wish list. I don't know anybody in this world. I have met lots of intelligent people who are like probably 200, 2000 times more intelligent than me. I don't know anybody in this world who can actually create a strategy for 18 months. It's a wish list. Like strategy, probably 3 months, maximum to maximum 6 months. Right? Because something that if you go beyond that, वो strategy नहीं है, वो plan नहीं है. It's a wish list. Maybe there are some exceptional situations where it is possible, but I don't know anything. So my plan is like for founder, like path यही है कि have the big goal, fine, but break it down and focus more on अगले 3 महीने आपको क्या करना है. And वो 3 महीने को इतना ज्यादा क्रिस्टलाइज कर दो, इतना ज्यादा क्लियर कर दो कि भैया कि so that you are very clear, your team is very clear, and you have clear plan. Take a look back and think, okay, fine. So go into like baby step, like 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. So that is the way you define your path. And as I said, those plan will not work. So इस महीने जो आपने प्लान बनाया था उसमें हो सकता है you might get to 60%. Then next quarter वाले में जब आप प्लान बनाओगे तो probably have to do some tweaking. You will have more learning. So you do that. So you build a path as you walk. So you don't get a road that is built for 10 kilometers. You just walk. छोटी सी रोड बनाओ, वॉक करो, आगे देखो जमीन कैसी है, फिर उसके हिसाब से रोड की स्ट्रेटजी चेंज करो, बट कीप गोइंग. That's the path.
I think that's great advice from you. And now, when we talk about startups, so you started long back, and now for someone who is starting right now in this age, what difference do you find? How things have evolved in generally. We'll talk first, and then we'll get to the new age tech as well.
Right. So I think there are some positive and some both sides basically. So it is a lot more easier to do any startup today than it was 10 years or 20 years back. And the reason is one, आज आप स्टार्टअप करना चाहते हो तो मोहल्ले वाले और आपके गांव वाले, आपके घर वाले आपको बहुत ही अजीब नजर से नहीं देखेंगे कि स्टार्टअप क्या होता है, क्या बकवास कर रहा है. नहीं, ये तो सबसे पहला तो ये जो मोरल सपोर्ट होता है आपके फ्रेंड्स, फैमिली, एवरीबॉडी इज नाउ वेल फेमिलियर विद कि स्टार्टअप क्या होता है, एंड इट इज सीन एज ए गुड थिंग. rather than कि दिमाग खराब हो गया लड़के का, rather than trying to prepare for IAS या बैंक में, अब क्या कर रहा है फालतू का, सब बकवास है, ठीक है, पागल हो गया लड़का टाइप का. तो दैट्स बिग. एक जो सोसाइटी वाला सपोर्ट है ना, दैट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. बिकॉज सो सबसे पहले आपको आज आपको करना चाह रहे हो, यू विल बी सीन वेरी वेरी डिफरेंटली. You'll get support from family depending on where the family background is. नंबर 2. तीसरा क्या है आपके पास ना, हायरिंग. एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ. 10 साल पहले आपको बोलना था कि यार कि मैं स्टार्टअप चला रहा हूँ, मेरे को अच्छा इंजीनियर चाहिए हायर करना है, सेल्स वाला. लोगों को मेंटेलिटी नहीं थी, यार स्टार्टअप तो बहुत ही रिस्की होता, मुझे नहीं जाना है. तो फाइंडिंग टैलेंट फॉर योर स्टार्टअप वाज नाइटमेयर 20 years बैक और 15 years बैक. आज की डेट में इवन जो बंदे IITs या IIM जो भी मतलब हाई A grade talent है, they also prefer to go and have an exposure in a startup rather than going in working. So it's lot easier to attract talent even if you're a startup today, which was not. We had to face lots of problem in that. You get it by default today, right? So moral support, talent, and all that, and then funding. अभी पूरा इकोसिस्टम है, you go there like angel investors हैं ढेर सारे आपके पास, like seed investors हैं, प्रॉपर लिस्ट है, बहुत सारी कंपनीज हैं जो यू कैन अप्रोच देम, दे विल हेल्प यू रेज फंड, पिच आपको बनाना है, एंड देयर लॉट्स ऑफ फाउंडर. सो बेसिकली द होल इकोसिस्टम अराउंड, यू आर नॉट अलोन.
Right.
And it's a big thing because today it's very important, easy for you to go and relatively very easy for you to go get support and get funding. अब कनेक्टेड जमाना है, सोशल मीडिया का जमाना है आज की डेट में. हमारे जमाने में अब किसी को मान लो हमने आइडेंटिफाई भी करा कि यार उस बंदे तक वो हेल्प कर सकता है, बट हाउ डू यू रीच दैट पर्सन? फोन करना है, ईमेल करना है, वो आज की डेट में लिंक्डइन है, फटाफट जाओ कनेक्शन मारो, ये देख सकते हो अच्छा मेरे तीसरे कनेक्शन लेवल पे हो, यू कैन नेविगेट थ्रू इट. सो
Right.
that thing is very important, like and easy to you to reach. So the whole ecosystem is very easy for you to do. And then there are lots of government support. I don't know how effective they are, but at least I keep hearing Startup India Fund or Ye Fund, Digital India. I'm sure there will be some. It will not be as easy as it is advertisement, but there will be some support. तो ये सारी चीजें makes it lot easier in this era to start an startup. चैलेंज ये आता है कि आपका कंपटीशन बढ़ गया है.
Right.
सो आज के 15 साल पहले आपका एक एवरेज आइडिया भी होता तो इट हैज एन क्योंकि इनोवेशन उतना हुआ नहीं था, तो एक एवरेज एक गैप ढूंढना बेसिकली वाज रिलेटिवली इजियर कि
Right.
इस प्रॉब्लम को टेक्निकली कैसे सॉल्व करूं. वो वेरी इजी, रिलेटिवली वेरी इजी टू फाइंड दैट आइडिया, दैट वन आइडिया, दैट रियल प्रॉब्लम. आज की डेट में इतना सैचुरेटेड हो गया, देयर इज स्टार्टअप आउट देयर एवरी कॉर्नर ट्राइंग टू डू एवरी सिंगल प्रॉब्लम. सो coming up with an idea and differentiating it is quite challenging now. It have to require.
Right.
So both ways, as I said, lots of things became a lot easier, but then this side became a bit very hard.
Right, right. And talking about competition, so how do we navigate that? Is it important to have competition, or can we do our own thing and not think about competition, or how does that work?
Right. So I think competition is very important things to have, because if and I was I fall in that trap myself, and then I learned hard way. I think so. If you're doing something and you try to go in a market and you don't find any competition, like nobody else is doing it, generally you get very happy. Oh my God, I got an idea. Nobody else is doing it.
Right.
And I can tell you that 9 out of 10 times is because that area, the problem maybe it's not worth solving, or the ROI is not there in solving the problem, or something should be there that it's not a coincidence. Yes, 1 out of 10 time is like you are lucky you ended up with an idea, and then it was a niche and you have. But so whenever you find an idea और आप कर रहे हो जहां पे आपको कोई कंपटीशन नहीं दिख रहा है, तो बी अवेयर कि 9 आउट ऑफ 10 टाइम ऐसा होगा कि वो एरिया गलत एरिया है, या अभी इट्स नॉट राइट टाइम टू सॉल्व, एंड क्योंकि कोई नहीं कर रहा. तो ये बहुत जरूरी एस्पेक्ट है. दूसरा, कंपटीशन होने से क्या होता है ना, इफ देयर इज नो कंपटीशन, इवन इफ यू गाइड फाइंड राइट आइडिया, चलो ठीक है, मतलब वो 1 आउट ऑफ 10 वाला हो गया, then you have to do a lots of training and education into the market customers. So for example, if you're going to sell something that does not exist, okay, और तो उस केस में आपको समझाना पड़ेगा कि आपको ये चाहिए. So the sales cycle becomes very different कि यार आपको ये जरूरत है, तो तू सोचेगा पता नहीं है, नहीं हमें तो इतने इतने सालों से मैं अपने बिना इससे कर रहा हूँ. तो इट टेक्स योर सेल साइकिल लार्ज, यू हैव टू एजुकेट द मार्केट. एंड पता चला कि आपने 2 साल लगा के कुछ मार्केट को प्रिपेयर किया कि हाँ उनको ये चाहिए, नीड जनरेट करी, फिर अपना प्रोडक्ट बेचने गए, तब तक कोई और आया, उसने फटाक से फास्ट फॉलो किया आपको और आपके बनाई हुई मार्केट को लेके चला गया. देन यू लाइक हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग. तो उसके अपने नुआंसेज होते हैं. ऑपरेटिंग इन अ मार्केट वेयर देयर इज ए कंपटीशन इज ऑलवेज गुड, क्योंकि आपको बेसिकली इट्स लाइक अगर आपको आज की डेट में जैसे ये जूम वाली कॉल हम कर रहे थे, आज की डेट में आपको कुछ और करना है, तो ऑल यू हैव टू डू इज यू डोंट हैव टू एजुकेट पीपल व्हाट इज अ रिमोट कॉल मीटिंग कैसे होती है. यू कैन रेफरेंस जूम टीम्स एंड ऑल यू नीड टू टेल दैट कि भैया जूम में ये प्रॉब्लम है, या ऐसे ऐसे है कि आई हैव गॉट अ रियल प्रॉब्लम टू सॉल्व. अब जूम ने क्या करा था कि पहले वो जो गो टू मीटिंग और वो सारे चीज होते थे, लाइक ना बहुत सारे होते थे, दे वर मोर ऑफ एंटरप्राइज टूल एंड नॉट एवरीबॉडी कैन अफोर्ड. They came up with the same idea, like I'm going to democratize it, like and suddenly become a multi-billion-dollar company. So competition is good, but हाँ competition में आपका strategy different होनी चाहिए कि भैया how do you differentiate yourself? And I'm going to use the word real differentiation. There is a differentiation that your product team and you will sit in an air conditioning room and think that nobody else is doing that, and you keep fooling yourself for like years and over years. So you got to find a real differentiation. Is it really? And does it matter? So for example मैं टीवी का लेता हूँ. सर टीवी है, एक कंपनी मेरे पास आई कहने की सर मेरे पास टीवी है, इट इज वेरी डिफरेंट देन योर टीवी, एंड इसमें एक ना रात में थोड़ा सा साइड में लाइट जलती है. It is true that it is a differentiation, but do I care? No.
Hmm.
So find the differentiation that your customer actually care about.
Hmm. Hmm.
And just a differentiation that is true, it is a different, but nobody care.
राइट, तो जैसे आपने ये रियल डिफरेंशिएशन का एग्जांपल दिया, सो एज एन इन्वेस्टर व्हाट आर द अदर थिंग्स यू लुक फॉर व्हेन यू आर टेकिंग अ लुक एट अ स्टार्टअप?
So I do angel investment a lot, and actually I sit both sides of the table. I help lots of big private equity and VC firms their investment. So I think पहला सबसे पहली चीज ये देखते हैं हम ना कि एक्चुअली इट डिपेंड्स कि एट व्हाट साइज आई एम लुकिंग एट स्टेज, क्योंकि आपका अगर कोई नया नया अभी आया एकदम बिल्कुल एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट देख रहा है तो आप यू लुक डिफरेंट थिंग्स। कोई सीड राउंड पे है तो आप यू लुक वेरी डिफरेंट थिंग। कोई सीरीज ए रेज कर रहा है तो कोई डिफरेंट रेज करोगे, ठीक है। तो द क्राइटेरिया कीप चेंजिंग डिपेंडिंग ऑन एट व्हाट स्टेज यू ट्राइंग टू इन्वेस्ट इन अ कंपनी, राइट। तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट साइज में करना, एंजल लाइक बहुत ही अर्ली स्टेज में इन्वेस्ट करना है, तो आपको दो चीजें देखनी है जो मैं देखता हूँ बेसिकली। दो चीज, आर यू ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व अ प्रॉब्लम दैट रियली एग्जिस्ट, और इज इट अ मेड अप प्रॉब्लम दैट यू थिंक इट इज अ प्रॉब्लम बट इट इज नॉट। So I look for like how much data, how much investigation, like you did to reach out to find out is it a real problem. और दूसरा जैसे बोलते हैं ना, नो वन एल्स डज इट। जब ये आता है ना तो मुझे लगता है कि ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट फाउंडर ये इसको ना ही हैज नो आइडिया व्हाट ही इज गेटिंग इनटू, ठीक है। कि तो बिग, तो मैं ये देखता हूँ बेसिकली डू यू रियली अंडरस्टैंड द लाइक कि आर यू रियली सॉल्विंग द रियल प्रॉब्लम, पहला। दूसरा, व्हाट मेक्स यू credible and eligible to be to solve that problem, ठीक है। सो डू यू हैव अ राइट टू विन हियर। मैं अभी एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट में केवल दो चीजें देखता हूँ। आर यू ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व अ रियल प्रॉब्लम, क्योंकि अभी रेवेन्यू बननी तो कुछ बहुत दूर की बात है। इज द प्रॉब्लम रियल, देन व्हाट मेक्स यू थिंक दैट यू कैन सॉल्व दैट प्रॉब्लम, ठीक है। अब जैसे मान लो कोई बंदा सॉल्व, अब व्हेन आई सी अ फाउंडर हु हैज वर्कड इन अ बैंकिंग इंडस्ट्री, ठीक है, for 20 years, I don't know, like 10 years or 20 years, and then that person is trying to, has identified a gap and then trying to build a product to fill that gap. That person is much more credible because he has a right to win in that area, because he has been spending 10 years and he has looked at that word and things, rather than somebody who is out in a college and trying to solve a very complex problem in banking, sitting outside. Is a very different, game altogether. तो एंजल साइड पे तो मैं वो दो चीजें देखता हूँ केवल कि भैया आर यू सॉल्विंग द राइट प्रॉब्लम, एंड देन व्हाट मेक्स यू बिलीव दैट यू कैन डू दैट।
राइट।
बाकी सीट पे अलग हो जाती है कि बेसिकली कि आपका जो है और टीम कितनी है आपकी, लाइक क्योंकि सीट राउंड आप रीच करोगे भाई, मेरे आई हैव वैलिडेटेड माय आइडिया, आई हैव डन सम प्रूफ ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स, now I need money to build my product MVP so that I can go in market and try to sell it more. तो वहां पे और सारी चीजें देखा जाता है कि आपका मार्केट रिसर्च कितना है, आपने ड्यूरिंग POCs आपने जो करे कितना लर्न किया आपने, व्हाट डेटा इज इट, रियल डेटा इज इट, मेड अप डेटा, एंड वो बहुत सारी और पैरामीटर बढ़ते जाते हैं जैसे जैसे आपकी कंपनी बढ़ती जाती है।
Right. I think it is going to help a lot of founders who are listening to us right now. And now let's get to, this new age technology and how it has revolutionized the entire startup ecosystem. So I think when we were speaking to each other, we were speaking about that this fact that AI अभी एक buzzword बन गया है, but it has been there for quite some time now, right? So we want to understand from you that what are your thoughts on this new age technology, AI, be it other technology like machine learning or blockchain, etc. How important are these technologies for the new startup ecosystem?
Right. So I make it very clear to people, because I made a mistake. So these days I'm more valuable to tell you what not to do, and I'm less valuable on what to do, because with experience that what. So सबसे पहले यह है कि if you picking up a technology, चाहे कोई टेक्नोलॉजी हो, ब्लॉकचेन ले लो, IoT ले लो, AI ले लो, जेन AI कुछ भी ले लो। AI की बात करें, AI has been there since 1958।
Okay.
ठीक है, दैट टाइम से AI थी। मेजर इवोल्यूशन हुआ, जैसे कार है, कार 1950 में भी थी, आज भी है।
हम्म
अब जो उनका डेमोक्रेटाइजेशन हुआ, द अफोर्डेबिलिटी एंड इजी टू यूज एंड लाइक नो, तो वो कमोडिटाइजेशन हुआ, तो एंड इवॉल्वेशन हुआ कि अब पहले कार में ये नहीं था, अभी हो सकता है ना, ऑल दैट। तो एआई के साथ भी हुआ या किसी टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ यही हुआ है कि इट्स नॉट अ न्यू थिंग, इट केम। और तो कमिंग बैक टू द मेन टॉपिक बेसिकली, तो इफ यू ट्राई टू pick up a technology and then look for a problem to solve,
हम्म
99% chance is there that you are now got into the hype
हम्म
trap, and only भगवान ही बचाएगा आपको, God can save you, ठीक है। If you are very very lucky, you might get something out of it, but so technology जो है ना, technology evolution is a very regular thing, it keeps evolving every year, every 1 or 2 year you find something big coming into the technology and disrupting things, like maybe every 5 years. So if you are building your company on the basis of technology disruptions, you have a very like short life, because वो disruption आज है, 2 साल बाद कुछ और disruption होगा. That means you're not thinking it right? What you need to do is to build a product that is solving the right problem for the actual problem to your customers, using the latest technology that was available at that time.
right
And then let's say 3 years later, you're still trying to solve a problem, but then the new technology came in that can increase accuracy, adaptability, or the cost of selling your software, right? And I'll give you a very concrete example of my, like, consider what happened, Gen AI and everything. So about 4 years back, we had a problem that we needed to solve, where in our world, in insurance company, what happens in commercial insurance is that brokers, when they are, let's say you own 200 ships, the अपना जो है vessels आप own करते हो, now you need to insure your ships. What you do is you'll probably create lots of information about all these ships that you have and everything that you could provide. जैसे कार इंश्योरेंस में आप देते हो डिटेल, शिप की पूरा सारा डिटेल दोगे, आप वो भेजते हो ब्रोकर को, आप ब्रोकर लोगे। जनरली कमर्शियल इंश्योरेंस में ब्रोकर इन्वॉल्व होता है, डायरेक्ट नहीं होता है, जैसे रिटेल में तो डायरेक्ट भी चले जाते हो, तो ब्रोकर होता है। तो ब्रोकर क्या करेगा, ब्रोकर विल टेक ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन एंड देन उसको और भी ज्यादा वो, तो इट्स लाइक प्रोफाइल और अच्छी बनाएगा कि मार्केट में प्लेस करना है इसको। तो यू विल हैव लाइक नो PowerPoint presentations हैं about how great these ships are, how great this company is, and then there will be Excel file talking about all those engine types और ये वो maintenance schedule everything, कितना ज्यादा अच्छा ध्यान रखते हैं इसका, and then there will be like Word documents and images and videos showing कि देखो कितना अच्छी तरीके से काम। So all that rich information they want to assemble together and then they email it to like insurance companies, भैया ये है सारी डिटेल, इसको देख के बताओ कि क्या कोटेशन, आप मुझे कोट दे दो, अपना इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम कितना कोट करोगे, या कोट करोगे भी कि नहीं करोगे, आर यू इंटरेस्टेड इन दैट। अब वो ये कितनी प्रॉब्लम थी कि मैनुअली लाइक दे हैड टू हैव द बैक ऑफिस टीम, वो ईमेल को जो पढ़ती थी, सारा पूरा वीडियो देखा, इमेज देखा, सब कुछ करा, सब कुछ कर पूरा के एक एक्सेल फाइल में पूरा जो डेटा जरूरत का डेटा था जो अंडर राइटर्स को चाहिए था, उसको प्रॉपर एक एक्सेल फाइल बना के फिर अंडर राइटर्स को भेजते थे, तो आप देखो करना है कि नहीं करना है। तो वेरी कम्बरसम प्रोसेस, वी ट्राई टू ऑटोमेट दैट, राइट, 4 years back, and we were able to do that. At that time GenAI और LLM कुछ थे ही नहीं, we used NLP and all other different models and bunch of different technology and built the product to solve it. Our product was solving the real problem, but it has got two challenges. One, it was very costly क्योंकि हमें इतना ज़्यादा डीप टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करना पड़ा था, पूरा AI एंड कंप्यूटर विजन एंड ऑल दैट, पूरा उसको मेंटेन करना ही अपने आप में एक बड़ा चीज था, एंड सो दैट इज व्हाई इट वाज कॉस्टिंग अ बिट मोर। तो प्राइसिंग हमारी थी काफी हाई थी, ठीक है। और दूसरा, एक्यूरेसी उतना ज्यादा नहीं थी, 80% एक्यूरेसी आने में हमारे पसीने छूट जाते थे, तो 75 to 80% एक्यूरेसी आती थी, राइट। अब वो सोल्यूशन हम बेच रहे थे, एक दो जगह हमारा बिका, बट चूंकि प्राइस पॉइंट काफी हाई था तो ROI नहीं मिल रही थी हमारे कस्टमर्स को, और हम उससे नीचे जा नहीं सकते थे। सडनली 2000 अभी 2 साल पहले जेने आई हम, वी आर द फर्स्ट, वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट कंपनी इन दिस होल वर्ल्ड who have adopted Gen AI on a real business problem and went into production before everybody were trying to see what it is, right? क्योंकि अब हुआ क्या, देखो जेन AI आई, पकड़ा मैंने, यार इससे जो मेरा टेक्नोलॉजी स्टैक है ना, जो मैंने इतना बड़ा टेक्नोलॉजी बना रखा है सॉल्व करने के लिए, वो इतना बड़ा हो जाएगा मेरा।
हम्म
So rather than building a startup on Gen AI, what we did is basically we adopted Gen AI to optimize our own technology, our own processes, and then made our solution six
हम्म
times cheaper than we were selling. And
हम्म
that really caused all customers to adopt it.
हम्म।
So that's a classic example of how do you technology evolution hota rahenge. How do you
हम्म।
build your startup, thinking
Right.
wise.
Right, right, right. I think पूरे conversation में you made things so much simpler to understand with so many examples. It was so great. And finally, we would like to know from you, like what would be your final thoughts for all the entrepreneurs out there? What would be your advice? What would be your thoughts for them?
Right. So I think advice-wise, I think I just said probably summary. I would just like to summarize. Ki,
Mm-hmm.
the path of entrepreneurship is very, very hard, guys. So be prepared mentally that it is going to be hard. But
Mm-hmm.
risk reward ratio भी काफी अच्छा है. Like, if you get it there, I think we all know कि life becomes luxury and you can be like, flying on your chartered plane, which is all good. But yeah, it is very hard. And number one. Number two, try to stay away from hype. Don't try to create a startup just for sake of creating it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, keep looking, take your time to find a real problem, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that that you, not just you care, like people who you want to sell, they care about that problem. So there's a very fine difference between I think this is a great problem to solve versus people. And another very important bite of things. So when you go and ask 20 people saying, hey, मैंने ये सोचा है, what do you think about it?
Mm-hmm.
You will get positive response every time.
Right.
Don't take that is wrong data.
Mm-hmm.
Ask right question when you're validating your idea. Is saying how much you pay for it. ठीक है? And why do you pay for it? अगर आप बोले कि मैं 50,000 रुपए दे दूंगा ऐसे सोल्यूशन का, is it really worth it? Why
Right.
would you, how do you justify your 50,000 investment? So try to ask a bit harder questions to get a real data rather than saying, hey, what about this feature? Do you like it? Oh yeah, great. हर आदमी
Mm-hmm.
यही बोलेगा, मैंने validation किया. Please be
Mm-hmm.
careful around, sometimes you're doing validation, sometimes you ask somebody else to do the validation, market research. Make sure that they are asking the right question to validate your idea.
Mm-hmm.
दूसरा ये है. दूसरा, इन्वेस्टमेंट में try to avoid going to institutional investors too soon. Try to start with your angels, your seed, because जो institutional investors होते हैं, they are very great investor to come, but they also bring lots of different processes and everything with them. So
Mm-hmm.
make sure your company is at a stage where it can take on all those mature processes and everything else, and all those, bit of bureaucracy and kind of things. So try to make sure and don't raise another, final one basically is saying people generally raise whatever they can raise.
Mm-hmm.
प्लीज चेंज योर माइंडसेट, रेज द मिनिमम अमाउंट यू नीड, क्योंकि जितना अर्ली टाइम पे जितना ज्यादा फंडिंग आप रेज करोगे, आपका इक्विटी डाइल्यूशन उतना ही ज्यादा होगा. एंड
Mm-hmm.
अगर आप पैसे आपने ज्यादा मनी रेज कर ली इन द बिगिनिंग विद लोअर वैल्यूएशन पे, तो बाय द टाइम यू रियलाइज, जब तक कंपनी आपके सक्सेस होने की टाइम आएगा, तब तक यू विल हैव लॉस्ट योर कंट्रोल इन अ कंपनी. आप नाम के फाउंडर रहोगे, बाकी सारा जो है आपका सारी मेहनत, सारा जो आपका इक्विटी वो इन्वेस्टर्स के पास होगी. So you will
Mm-hmm.
be an employee with the tag of founder. So be careful on that. I've also gone through that problem myself. किसी तरह से बचा हूँ. So be careful on that. That would be my conclusion in terms of my advice and guidance.
Right, right, right. I think as I earlier also mentioned that this is one of the, most crisp podcast I have ever had, so to the point, and I was completely all in to understand what you were saying. So it was lovely having you, Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. And we look forward to have more such amazing conversations with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anjali.
Thank you.